Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 878 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Pyles, joined today not by JD Raider, but by Jon Kozak. Jonathan Kozak is here. Ben Askren is here. He showered. That's how you know it's going to be a good show. Ben doesn't need to shower, though, because he does not have body odor. It's not possible.
Body odor.
He can't.
You know what? I'm going to tangent us this morning right away, Christian, because I brought something up before the show about high school rankings. I started looking at them.
Okay.
Man, we get screwed in Wisconsin because we didn't get to wrestle nobody. We just start moving down. Like I looked at Ethan Riddle at 19. I think he was as high as like 12 because he beat 3 national ranked guys this fall.
Yeah.
He lost twice, and he bumped up twice to wrestle Mirasolo, so he got some good competition. And he just keeps sliding down because these other guys at East Coast tournaments wrestle each other, and then you just keep bumping them up, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, you need to lobby the Wisconsin whatever they are and get them to make the change. It's kind of seems like Wisconsin might be as a state just scared of other states.
I believe there is some stupid rule where I want to say the 250-mile travel radius, and if you want to go outside of that, then you really gotta put in some serious effort. I think it's possible, but it's tough. But no, the thing is, like, if the guys don't lose, it's annoying that they move down, and I realize that's how you guys do it. And I'm over it. I just wanted to complain for about 30 seconds.
That's okay. It is annoying. Yeah, I wish they would change it. Some of these states are so silly with their rules, but
yes,
they exist. Without the rules, as Cosmo Kramer said, there's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have rules.
Chaos is good sometimes.
Yeah, okay. Can't disagree with that either. All right, Ben. And thank you, Kozak, for joining. We got Arizona State and Cornell are in the house. They're here. They're going to be literally in this building very, very soon to practice and get some weight off, I would imagine. Kozak, you were around yesterday, I believe. How what were the vibes? Any takeaways?
Yeah, good vibes. It's always fun to see like the differences in the teams, kind of how they operate, how they do things. I'd say Cornell is a little bit more laid back, kind of just got into business. Arizona State a little more fired up. They playing some sports games.
Sports games, you say?
To get warmed
up. Sports
up.
Games.
Yeah, that's what Coach Zeke Jones said.
Yeah,
he goes, "Hey guys, play a sports game, warm up." So they played a sports game.
He said sports games?
Yeah, they played a sports game.
I forgot that Zeke says sports games.
Yeah,
I kind of love that.
But they were a little more Hollywood style. Cornell a little more get down to business, laid back, kind of keep things light. But yeah, everyone's here. I think it's really interesting. We were talking a little bit beforehand. Who's Arizona State's going to send out at 125? I think that'll be
Who's
fun,
it gonna be?
fun to see.
So they don't know.
They don't know.
Who doesn't know?
Zeke says he knows, but he won't tell anyone. And Richard and Brandon do not know if they're wrestling today.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, so
that's kind of I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I think they just want both guys to prepare and be ready to go. I don't know. You've seen this in the past before.
Yeah.
And
I know I would love to hear Coach Zeke Jones's his literal process. I know he'll probably never tell us, but like what is actually going through his head about both who he's picking and then why he's making them wait.
Well, I know. I feel like during the Shakur Kassar back and forth, there were a lot of duels where neither guy, because Mike Mal was friend or coached Anthony, so he kind of had a little bit of insight there, and like, yeah, they didn't know he was going or if he wasn't going. I remember with Clark and Gilman, similar thing there too. Yeah. Like it was kind of like duel to duel. They didn't know who was going until Tom or Terry or whoever it was said, "All right, you're going." Whoever they say.
I feel like it's just such an emotional letdown.
Yeah.
So I get the idea of getting them both ready, and I see the benefit of that, right? But then at the end of the day, you do say you or you, one of you two, and then at that point, the other guy who's been ready they've ramped themselves up, and now they gotta bring it back down without actually, I know this happened to me on a couple of times I fought where I actually finished people quickly like twice in my life. Like it was pretty rare. but it was like I expected a fight and I didn't get a fight, and now I'm just like freaking amped, like for the forever. And it was like I really like it was a hard feeling to deal with. So
Yes.
when you get yourself up to that point where you need to really like bring the freaking heat, and then you don't get to bring the heat, yeah, that's an issue.
Relatable Ben Askren.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Comparing
trying to relate to their mental states. I think I am
comparing
effectively relating.
not
them.
getting benched in a wrestling duel to just
Beat
submitting
people.
your opponent too quickly.
Yeah.
Well, but you still don't get the battle,
get
right?
it.
You want the battle, you don't
Mhm.
get it, and that's a hard thing. And so I don't see that. I don't really, for me, if I was the coach, and this is why I would love to hear. Zeke Jones is obviously a really good coach. Love to hear his process because, I don't know what the problem is with telling them, say, the morning of, like, or
Yeah.
the day before, or something like that. Hey, here's who I'm going with. Here's why I'm doing it. Come with the team, be a great member of the team, but he's wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I didn't get to talk to Brandon. I talked to Richie, and he seemed to have like a really good attitude, perspective about things. He's like, me and Brandon, we're boys, like we're good friends. And he goes, I know it's weird, kind of from the outside looking in, but because this is also, something that is happening because of COVID. He's like, I get it. Like we weren't supposed to have this problem, so like it's just kind of like what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So he had a really good perspective on it, and David talked to Brandon. He said similar stuff. So it sounds like they're dealing with it about as good as you can.
No, they're definitely cool, and Coach. I talked with Coach Pritz at Vegas about this. He's like, Richie's here largely because of Brandon, and they train together a lot. They really do enjoy each other. It just happens that with the COVID thing, they're overlapping by 1 year. So I'm curious if to me, gun to my head, it feels like Courtney's going to be the guy for Arizona State come postseason, just based on a longer track record, not getting to see Richie at Midlands. But that remains to be
Did
seen.
they say why he didn't wrestle at Midlands? Injury, illness, something else?
I don't think we asked, but I'll ask today and try to find out what was going on there.
Yeah, and the matchup will be interesting at 25 with Unger. Richie beat him in overtime at CKLV, so we'll have that comparison.
I feel like Courtney is a little more dynamic offensively.
Yeah, for sure. I think at this stage in his career, he can fire off leg attacks more consistently than Richie. But Richie's day is certainly coming for the Sun Devils.
No, I mean, Richie's. I mean, honestly, I would say if they wrestled, I'm not certain who would win because Richie's really strong defensively and he has that ability where he knows how to win matches. I mean, the Vegas tournament, he had 3 super close ones. He won. He beat McHenry in overtime. Was it overtime? One of the semis, maybe.
Unger,
like that?
his Unger match was crazy close.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that one too. Yes.
So you would imagine based off of that match that they would probably go with Courtney, just because Unger and Richie were so close. Because that's gonna be the match to tonight at 125. Brett Unger for Cornell, and then one of the Sun Devils at 25. So that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, wanted to kind of circle back to the weekend or the whatever we call the thing, or it's all the weekend until probably about this day.
Christmas Eve till today.
Christmas Eve till today was a big fun weekend, full of wrestling, full of also medical forfeits. They are they're once again the talk of the town. They were front and center during conference weekend, especially Big Tens when you had forfeits on forfeits, including in Big Ten finals and high placing matches. And fans obviously don't like them. Coaches, I don't think like them, but it seems like it's just a new era in wrestling where you're going to see a lot of this. And I think, some programs are maybe puff their chest out a little bit that they don't medical forfeit, but to them, I would kind of say your day's probably coming, it'd
be a great quant division project, Christian.
What?
Which team medical forfeits the most?
Yeah. And you could probably do that.
What do you think? But that could be relatively easy for your quant division.
Yeah. If we just took a couple of tournaments, you could probably do it. But I think the medical forfeit and forfeits in general are something that are going to afflict almost every team at some point or another. And I think you can a lot of people are looking for, and Kozak and I were talking about this before, like a people do want a solution for it because everyone knows. I think the coaches know, fans certainly know this is not good, right? You shouldn't be able to just leave a tournament and like cash these wins you got and then have no risk or loss and give your opponents no opportunity to wrestle back. Everyone knows that's like not good. But I think the root cause and why these are happening, I don't think the root cause of why it's happening is people are scared to wrestle. People are worried about losing or protecting a ranking, protecting a seed. I really don't think that's
That's a small portion if we had to break it down by percentages.
Exactly. I think a lot of it is just risk aversion, not wanting to get hurt. And the ultimate, and the reason for that is I think a bigger conversation I think is actually more important. And Coach Chiarapelli's talked about on Twitter, you have been just the amount of matches that these guys are now getting from middle to high school. You got top ranked guys that wrestled 60 matches since Fargo. High school wrestlers, 60 matches since Fargo. And I think what you're doing is and I think the way Coach Chiarapelli plays, like you're putting your prime and your main competition time during the time when it's not really the most important in the grand scheme, or it's certainly not when you would pick to be at your very best. But now you're seeing all these matches, all this wrestling, all this training, and then by the time these guys get to college, a lot of those their bodies aren't really able to maintain it.
Yeah. So I think there's, obviously we had to break it down as a percentage thing, like really study this. I think that's got a factor for sure. A number to just desire to compete. Did I bring up Doug Bluebloss's quote? Because it's like my favorite quote of all time.
No.
But I hate when people repeat themselves and tell the same story 7 times. So please don't let me be that guy.
Okay.
I didn't tell it. You sure?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. Well, obviously Doug Bluebloss, Olympic champion in 1960, and if you look at the records from that era, they probably had 100 matches in their life, maybe a little more than it wasn't a lot. The college season was, say, 10 to 15 matches, and high schools were the same. What we did when I was writing that first book, we did the questionnaire where we ask all these questions to NCAA champions. We send it out, we get it back. And one of the questions was, what was your mindset leading into competition? Doug Bluebloss had great insight, and one of my favorite quotes of all time. He said, "I would have crawled through a mile of pig shit just for the opportunity to compete."
Yeah.
And so I mean, and then in the era, you think, with these kids saying, "Oh, I wrestled too much. I think a lot of it is their youth in high school. And like I was just telling a group of kids I was working with the other day, it's like, I freaking love to compete. I kind of wish I could go wrestle right now, but because of who I am, everyone would make a big deal of it, and I don't really want that. But like, I love like getting on the mat, shaking hands, and wrestling. Like, it's so much fun. And so for these kids to be so burnt out so early it's like really depressing. It also probably means because I know a big one in wrestling is that dads put so much emphasis on winning, and then that creates this mental snare where the kid feels like they have to win to be valued, and then that's almost harder than the physical things. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a big factor. I think people have gotten smarter with injuries. Like, I think maybe in my era, I did it, I'm sure, and other teams probably would have pushed a little harder through injuries, but that can have it can be okay sometimes, but sometimes it can be really bad, right? It just gets worse and worse and worse. So I think there's kind of a multitude of factors. Heck, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't want to talk about this, but it's like I feel like we talk about it all the time and we don't actually have a real solid solution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think
almost the same conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hear that, but also one thing, and we talked about like the structure of the season. I think that's a big part of it too. Like the season, coaches are telling you in mass, like this season, the length, the types of tournaments, the type of competition we do not work for us now. And so they have to change kind of how they're doing it. And you're seeing it if you look at the teams. I think Nomad tweeted like Penn State, Arizona State, Iowa, a couple other NC State mm-hmm. are all going to go through this season without hitting a major tournament. Those are the teams that you would consider, leaders mm-hmm. in the sport.
Yeah, one of the other things that no one's brought up, Christian, that I think is maybe would be interesting to think about, because I know my brother and I've had this conversation about the practices and the way you train. Max's room in Mech 1 was not good for a long time. Like, it was a really bad wrestling area, and he started it, and now it's freaking ridiculous, right? It's like Scholes, Millard, Mirsola, Riddle, Daly. Like, they have a whole bunch of national ranked guys within a couple weight classes of each other, right? And so when you have these guys competing against each other, if it's one guy and then the other guy's not very good, or if they're both not very good, there's not the same amount of intensity or friction in a lot of positions. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
By friction.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get two guys who are really good, if you have them do the exact same go as either one guy who's good, one guy who's not good, or two guys who are not very good, you're just going to get a lot more work, a lot more friction, and a lot more banging on your body. And so the other thing I think about with these tournaments now is I think in wrestling, the bottom has been brought up, right? From a skill standpoint.
Yes.
The guys who were the lower level Division I guys 20 years ago were way below. And now that bottom has been brought up to a certain level where, we talked about Richie Figueroa, early rounds of Las Vegas. He's having really good matches. And I think that kind of happens a lot. So that's my other thought on it, is that everything's just more competitive, both in the room and in matches, which creates a lot more friction on your body and small injuries, and those small injuries add up. But I think your point about the early competition is probably a bigger piece of the pie, but I think there's multiple pieces of this pie.
Yes.
I think there's a part of it too. David and I were talking about this on our way in from our Hutto carpool. We drove in together. But I think I haven't heard this yet, and I think part of the problem of medical forfeits, or teams not showing up, or top rosters not showing up when they say they are, I think part of that is predicated on the fact that the sport has grown and evolved in some good ways, where like they're training better, or not pushing through injuries in certain ways where maybe in the past they would have, but then also like the fact that we even know about like people not competing and medical forfeits, or a tournament isn't as good as it used to be, like that's a good thing. Because if you said Midlands was like so awesome 20 years ago or 25 years ago, it was incredible. Right. But if it wasn't, how would you know? You wouldn't have been able to watch it. You wouldn't have been able to tune in unless you actually went or read about it.
The brackets till 2 weeks later, and it might not even have the final brackets. It might have just had the first, third, fifth, and seventh place matches. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So the fact that we know like there needs to be a change, there needs to be progress, it's because the sport has grown and has progressed. And so the next evolution to make the sport better is maybe it's changing the tournament schedule. Maybe it's creating a more incentivized schedule.
I got a good point, I think. So we did the first PNL event in Chicago in September, and all of the one of the big things that we wanted to do was with our like number one, number two, top kids nationally, right? They go to Super 32. They're generally going to kill the first 3 or 4 people, and then maybe later they're going to have some good matches. Mm-hmm. And we're like, well, hey, that's not good for either one of those parties, right? Matches which are just bloodbaths aren't really good for the winning end or the losing end. They don't really learn a lot out of it. So one of the things was, let's pool them up with our best kids are the best kids, and we all kind of have the same understanding of what a good kid is. So we pulled them up together, and then they're not getting any of those frivolous matches. And then on the lower guys side too, right? They're not just getting pinned in a minute by somebody. They're actually getting guys who are on their skill level. So we had like an A bracket, a B bracket, and a C bracket. So our thought process was, we should have our guys getting 5 or 6 matches in the day, right? That was kind of like the thought process of whether they wanted for good competition for high school guys. And we started having and then it's tournament time also. We started having those matches. And guess what? We actually got people in the right pools. And we were like, holy crap, all these matches are hard. And by the end of the day, every coach is saying, dude, no high school kid should have 6 matches in a day if they're all competitive. It was too much. Injuries were happening, everything else. And we're like, nope, can't ever do that again. Like, so I think that level of competition, when they're both good, that can definitely, we said, 4 is probably the right amount, which some people say, well, that's not enough matches, but it's like, well, if they're all competitive, that's plenty good.
That's a lot.
6, yeah, 6 when when we're all thinking 6, we're all thinking, okay, when this guy goes to a tournament, he usually pins his first 3 guys. That's a minute, and then maybe he's got a semi-competitive match, and then 2 competitive matches at the end. That's kind of how we were. Because that's what everything is. That's
Yeah,
how we
but
were
not
thinking
there.
about it. Yeah, and then we put everyone together. And we're like, oh my god, this is freaking. This is a war. Like they
Yeah.
should not be having this many good matches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the same thing in the college season probably.
It was interesting in Kyle Klingman interviewed John Smith after the Southern Scuffle, talking about their team title, and I believe Coach Smith sort of offered like, yeah, he was disappointed in the number of medical forfeits. He said there's some matches where we lost on the front side and we wanted to get those back on the back side, and you can get that opportunity. You just you move along in the tournament, and really in a yeah, you get the benefit of the team points and all that, but in reality, for your season, for your team, for your guys, those medical forfeits don't actually help you in a real sense for down the line. And there's tremendous aid given to those wrestlers that decline that other match, because there's no penalty and you don't get the opportunity to lose or win.
Yeah. If you're going deep to the wrestle back in a lot of these scuffle brackets, you could do somewhere between 7 and 9 matches, maybe, depending on how far you go on the front side.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. So maybe the solution is something where they're not getting more than 4 matches over the course of the weekend. So maybe it's pool type brackets, or I don't think there's a way to pare 32 down to four matches. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. And
but somewhere to create brackets where they're getting a few less matches.
Yeah. And part of it is that, the NCAA seeding process, where if you get a win over someone, then you have that win. Mm-hmm. And the only way there is no like seeding benefit to wrestling that match, which is preposterous. Yeah. And there needs to be. So there's a lot of temptations to not take the mat beyond the normal rationale for why you wouldn't want to wrestle it.
So do you think they should count medical forfeits as a loss?
I don't know. I mean, I get a little nervous with that because, okay, now someone's legitimately injured and you get a win over the number one guy because without taking – because the whole point of, like, for a ranking or seeding is you want the wrestling that's been done, and you want to evaluate it and determine who's beaten the best guys, who's lost the most, and to give that equal weight to slapping hands and actually beating that guy, that's not accurate. Mm-hmm. It's not accurate. Now, it's not right on the other side.
The other side is like there's going to be some legitimate injuries. There's some that are not as legitimate.
100%. Right? I mean, if you lose in the semis and you take, then you dip. It's like, okay, well, you kind of often know. I bet if you win in the semis, you wouldn't have forfeited out of the tournament. But some guys, you see that a lot. And you don't want that to happen. So there does need to be something, and maybe it's one of the solutions or proposed things I've seen is like, maybe if you medical forfeit in a tournament, you can't wrestle the next competition or something. I think,
but that's another one where it's like, okay,
there are acute injuries that are short term. Yeah.
But not even that. Yeah, yes, that's true. But also like a Sinclair thing, like he tweaked his knee, and it's like, well, like, what if you hurt it worse? You're gonna get in some of those situations. What if you hurt it worse, right? And he wasn't quite sure how bad it was, and he was out, I don't know, 3 weeks, but hurts it worse, maybe he's out 6 to 8 weeks. Like it's kind of stupid to continue to press down that path. So then for them to be out the next one kind of sucks also. I like the idea. I like the idea we came up with where the first one counts as a win for the other guy or a loss. That way you're getting some penalty to the person, but not you're not counting all of the medical forfeits. And then the other thing I would say is we kind of discussed is if there are these tournaments where you're going to have to go 7 to 9 matches to get back to 3rd and 5th, right? If first place really it's rarely the issue. It's on the backside.
Of course.
Figure out tournament structures where the guys can get a handful less matches. I think it's probably better that way.
Yeah, maybe you need to have a cap on participants. Maybe all the tournaments need to be 16 man, and you have 16
man,
teams.
A pool, B pool, something like that.
I think counting medical forfeits as a loss is too simple of a whatever proposed solution to where on the other side it could even further make the problem bigger of people just not entering tournaments, period. It's like, okay,
100%.
like, all right, if we're going to count medical forfeits as
That's
a loss,
possible.
then I can't go and get 2 matches and medical forfeit out because I'm not going to do that. So it's like, maybe it solves one problem, but maybe it creates an even bigger problem on the other side.
Totally creates that problem.
100%.
That 100% would happen.
That would happen. Yes.
Yeah, it would be. The other thing is guys would maybe wrestle when they shouldn't.
But so kind of like the P&L thought press though, Christian, if we did something where it was like 16 brand brackets maximum or something, because that would create a six match maximum. Or you could even do the gimmick where they do the semifinalists drop down to third place. But then some people would say, well, my guy's not getting an opportunity to compete against the best guys. But it's like, okay, well, if you have a second 16 man, an A and then a B, some of those dudes probably shouldn't be. There's plenty of dudes that went and got whooped real fast and went 0-2, where they probably would have been much better off competing against someone their own relative skill level.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of like some of Frank Pop's events collegiately.
Yes, absolutely.
That the coaches kind of like give their input on who's who and what kind of matches they want, and it's very similar to the P&L concept, but that's for high school. But for Frank, he does it in college, and I think it makes a lot. It's a event structure that I think makes a lot of sense for the future of college wrestling.
It makes so much sense for everybody because say number 17. So we're putting a bracket together. There's 16 in the top one. Number 17 is probably like, dang it, I want to be in the top bracket, right? But at the same time, there's a full 16-man bracket. He goes 4-0. He probably gets 4 solid matches because he's not that good. He's number 17. And then it's probably going to bump him up in the rankings a little bit because obviously someone in the round, the top pool didn't do very well, and then maybe the next time he gets into the top pool.
Yeah. I don't think there's that much downside for it, and I think it is time for, who's to say the Southern Scuffle can't say, all right, well we're still a tournament, but we're going to do it a little bit differently in Midlands, and really we're talking about a small number of tournaments in reality, right?
Yes.
There's a few majors. Yeah.
Well, a few. The other thing here is a lot of college coaches, they obviously already like this structure, right? There's so many college coaches who have put together their own tournaments, like Tiger Style Invitation, which is on Flow.
Yes.
Those guys did, I think it was either 3 or 4 matches. I think they did pools of 8, right? Or how was it done?
Something like that.
It was something smaller. It was right. It was not gigantic bracket, right? It was pools of 6 or 8 or something like that. I know the Cougar Clash in Southern Illinois did the same thing. So there's obviously already college coaches putting together these tournaments that are structured in a way that's more conducive to that. And I would be interested to see how many medical forfeits were in the Tiger Style Invitational as a percentage versus the Scuffle or Midlands.
Same for some of Frank's journeyman events as well.
Frank's journeyman events.
Guarantee you it's less. Would guarantee it.
And then the collegiate national duels. That's obviously, I think the coaches had a huge input in that structure. It's 3 matches, 2 matches one day, 1 match the next day. Yeah, they're not like, hey, let's do 7 matches.
No, that's a lot. It's too much.
Well, even
I go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, even like collegiate duels, you look at the teams that went there. How many of those teams sent full lineups to any of the holiday tournaments?
Yeah, not a lot.
None of them.
I think none.
Yeah. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we solved it. I think we could do smaller tournaments. I think that's going to be beneficial. I think everyone needs to listen to us, and these damn kids need to stop wrestling so much when they're younger. I realize it provides an immediate benefit, but maybe the long-term negative outweighs it. We'd have to actually have the quant division study that one. Yeah, and then we'll have the quant division study which teams forfeit the most so we can shame them publicly. What if there's one team that's way above everyone else? What if there's one team that has like 14% of their matches are medically forfeited, and the average is like 4% or 5%.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be bad.
Never know.
That would be an embarrassing thing if it happened.
That would be. That's a shame. We're a shame them.
Yeah, we might have to. So yeah, it'll be. I don't think the problem's gonna get probably worse before it gets better. I think would be.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see any reason it's gonna get better for like conferences or. These tournaments.
Oh, you mean just this year?
Well, this year and beyond, until there's a change in, a lot of things that are going to take a while to change. I don't see it changing. Right? If you don't change the tournament structure, if you don't change how long the season is,
you got to do something for sure.
you don't change how much kids are wrestling in high school, man, I see screenshots of these track wrestling profiles, man. It's like, oh my gosh, 1,000 matches. Can you imagine?
Yes.
How many matches do you think you wrestled in your life, Ben?
Oh, over 1,000 for sure.
Yeah.
I just told you at the beginning of the show, I freaking love to wrestle. Like, I love to compete. But then I've said this before. All through I wasn't very good when I was little. So I wrestled, probably the local stuff. And then maybe 7th, 8th grade, I probably pushed my parents to take me to like a Northern Plains or like that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But even through my high school career, after Fargo, you couldn't wrestle. I tried going to a couple college opens, but there was no matches. There was no duels. There was no Super 32. There was no nothing. Mm-hmm. So I essentially had, July to probably December where I was getting 0 matches.
Mm.
Right? That's huge. Yeah. There was no matches. And, my brother's really big on that. And he doesn't like going to Super. He didn't like these guys going to Super 32. And I push it because my argument is you stupid flow guys are going to move our guys down in the rankings because they're not going to have any good wins since Fargo if they don't go to Super 32.
Yeah, you got to make it. I mean, I don't know what to. Yeah.
We're actually having
if it was on the other side of the coin and you were a New Jersey coach and your guys were going to Beast and Powerade and winning all those tournaments, Ironman, you would be furious if we left those Wisconsin kids up there from.
Well, the part of the problem is they obviously got wins to put them in that spot, right? Mm-hmm. And so they don't get losses and knock them down. I see what happens, right? Is someone else gets a big win and then it kind of creates this thing. But I was gonna say one of the things that I don't want to say it's fixing it for sure, but some of the high school coaches are realizing they have higher level guys on their teams and they're taking their kids to say, we had a lot of kids go to the Minnesota Christmas tournament and because that's close, right? And then the Dan Gable Donnybrook in Iowa. And there was a few other ones that our guys went to that are kind of bigger. Cheesehead's coming up. That's a really big one. Where out of state teams come into Wisconsin. So yeah, I was kind of just joking on that. But no, Max is really big on not competing. I think, Fargo to Super 32, it's a 3-month break. And, someone like I say a Sinclair, he's just not getting very many good matches during his high school season. Like it's you can count it on a hand. And so he's going to need to go get good matches somewhere else at some time.
He should go heavyweight.
Mm-hmm. He might. You never know.
Oh, okay. Sounds like we're breaking news here. Breaking news.
I don't know. He's been wrestling 220 a lot. He's been moving around, bumping up and down, getting better matches.
You still thumping on him though? No problem.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Look at the twinkle in his eye. All right, we have not talked about Southern Scuffle finals or really anything beyond what we discussed on
forfeits.
Monday's show.
Anything beyond forfeits.
Yes. So Ben, want to give you the floor here for high-level takeaways from Southern Scuffle, standout performances, maybe anything that stood out, disappointments, whatever.
Oh, it's a tough one if I get the floor. I mean, the hard one was that the only good team that kind of brought the full lineup was Oklahoma State. NDSU wrestled tough, and they brought their full lineup also, but like Mizzou didn't bring quite a few guys. I guess they're too busy hanging out, having fun, making out with chicks or something.
Apparently.
And yeah, but I watched the finals. I thought they were fun. Yeah, honestly, there was no one that was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. Everyone was right about where I thought they'd be from Ramos Fix. I mean, I thought Hart would do better against Illyria, so that was disappointing.
Me too.
I think Kellen March winning that bracket was probably unexpected, but he's really tough. Frantic Coleman was close. Yeah, nothing super surprising.
Yeah, I thought that number one standout for me was Andrew Lira's. I thought, definitely like when he beat Cole Matthews, you're like, okay, this is a forward step for sure for him. Someone that we always thought was really good, but when's he gonna make that next step? And then he comes here, and obviously no one as good as Cole Matthews was in the bracket. But honestly, if you watched Alan Hart's tournament, he looked awesome. The entire time.
Really good.
He was dominant. He was taking people down. He was riding them. He was turning them. I really thought, and of course they had a sudden victory match last year, and I thought, all right, this is probably going to be close.
Yeah,
and
I thought so too.
The reality is Andrew has just jumped levels significantly.
Although that first takedown was nonsense, so maybe it should have been a little closer.
Well,
the first takedown that they gave Illyria's, Hart was facing him on his knees. I don't know what was going on.
Oh,
I watched
yeah.
it 3 times to see what I missed. I watched it over and over. I'm like,
But you know what stunned me?
what's going on here?
Why didn't they
There was
throw
no
the brick?
challenge.
Why didn't they brick it?
What do you mean? Oh, I figured they didn't have a brick is what I figured as I was watching.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were out of bricks? I don't know, because that was like what I literally watched it. I'm like, did I miss something? Like, surely I missed something. I just kept rewinding it and watching it again.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Yeah, that's just kind of a crazy call.
But yeah,
right.
Alirez looked good on Hart's really good on top, so he looked good on top also. Yeah, Hart smashed Berglund 6-0 in the semis.
Yes.
Right? So it was like, and then he won 15-0 over, Cedeno's not great, but he tech followed him easy. Yeah, so that was one where I thought he was gonna make it a match, and Alirez really quick on his attacks, really quick on his reattacks, good off bottom. Yeah, he looks good.
He can ride too. He's got a decent leg ride that he implements.
Yeah.
It was impressive. He won OW. He won the most pins award. He stuck out to a lot of people. He had 3 falls in 13 minutes.
3 falls. Maybe he beat your boy Colin Girardi 18-5. That's pretty ugly also.
Colin Girardi.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good, really quick, and good in a lot of places.
Do we feel like there's some separation here with 41 where I think we came into the year and be like, anyone can win this weight? Now does it feel like it's Andrew, it's Real Woods, maybe Cole Matthews is in that mix?
He's still there. Because that match was overtime at the
All-Star? Overtime at the All-Star, yeah.
Alirez, let's see, has he faced anyone else good besides Matthews and Hart? The end? No. He looked great. I'm not ready to say that there's that much separation though. Obviously I think he's like moving in that direction where he's a significant favorite. Real Woods, who has he wrestled that would make us feel that way?
Swiderski.
So that didn't make me feel that way.
Yeah.
He barely won that. I don't want to say barely. He didn't barely win the match, but it was.
Well, he didn't take him down.
He didn't take him down. Yes. It was not dominant. We'll say that. It was not something where I feel like, oh wow, he's way better. He'll definitely win this the next time.
Yeah.
I feel like Bo Bartlett could present probably a really good challenge for Alirez because he's so good defensively, holds really good position.
Yeah. I didn't say it. Yeah. For the record, guys.
I said it for you.
We know you felt it.
I felt it. It's one of those things. It goes without saying. It obviously goes without saying. Yeah, you're right. You're right as well. Yeah, maybe it's more open. No, it is. You're right. Everyone's right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, another one. I mean, I just we're looking at this bracket. Obviously, Carter Young, 8th place. That's he lost to Berglund 2-0. Man, you thought he was gonna maybe make some jumps, and we're just not quite seeing them out of him.
No.
Yeah, him and even Mastro kind of took a couple losses this tournament, so they moved down in the rankings.
Yeah.
So other interesting matches. I thought the Coleman Frantic match for not having a lot of points was actually and really towards the end got really really exciting. Some awesome scrambles there. And now Jared Frantic, number 2 in the country.
Number 2 in the country.
That is wild.
Yeah. 57 is it's a
that's
fun
another
weight.
one like 41. Same feeling.
It's crazy, and now it's more wide open with Monday up at 65 permanently, which was announced. So now you got Rob
But
Frantic.
He's just messing with everyone.
Well,
I don't know why you move up. It's so much better of a bracket than this one.
Anyone I talk to is like, and I'm talking about coaches, are like, I have no idea why he was doing this. Not Princeton coaches, but like other coaches you talk to, I'm like, what do you think about this? They're like, makes no sense. He could absolutely
none.
He'd probably be he would be my pick to win 157. Probably without a ton of hesitation, truthfully.
Antonia's got a red shirt and he hasn't wrestled a match this year.
Yeah.
Good. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna red shirt? Why has he not wrestled at all? 0.
We'll see. He was dealing with minor injury.
Yeah. That's a good. I didn't even think about that.
Cornell wrestles Virginia Tech on Friday.
He wrestled the All-Star, obviously, but
wrestled the All-Star.
But they have a pretty good backup, right?
Clayton Ulrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, always scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why they wouldn't. Yeah.
Man, I mean, because he could win 157.
Yeah.
Probably in their minds.
Yeah, but
This
that
is
bracket for him clears out a ton after this year because I know you never know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of these dudes are going to be done. I mean, as listed as seniors on here, and I'm sure there's some eligibility back somewhere. But Frantic, Coleman, Luan, O'Connor, Humphreys, Brayton Lee, Jacob Wright. I'm sure some of them are done this year. I'm sure a couple have eligibility still.
Yeah.
Hey, you know another guy who's getting we kind of glanced over him at Midlands, but he's getting a lot better. And I remember him back from his high school days, and he was like he wasn't like super good, but he was always kind of like scrappy and staying in matches and tough. And like because my guys wrestled him and he was annoying, he wouldn't go away. Chumbley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chumbley's getting a lot better.
Yeah. Well, it's a trend at Northwestern.
Yes, agreed.
They get guys better for sure. Yeah, and he wouldn't. I mean, 57 was not like amazing at Midlands, obviously, but he wouldn't have been my pick going into it. And
No, definitely not.
yeah, he was pretty impressive.
Yeah. His only 2 losses this year, though, overtime to Ed Scott and 6-5 to Kendall Coleman.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on Chumbley. I think Rob has another year. But yeah, he definitely does. He's actually one of the few listed as a junior. But you're right, Ben. It is going to thin out considerably.
Clear out a little bit.
O'Connor, I feel like, definitely has more years.
I don't know. So at this point, some of these guys is like, do they even want him?
Man, I kind of forgot his 2019 season. Yeah, you might be right. So he redshirted in 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
19 wrestled. So this is it for him.
Yeah.
Who'd you say, O'Connor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is his last year.
Yeah, and honestly, 149's got a ton of seniors in there too. So Murin, Milner, Yaya, Sasso, Gomez, Yanni, and I know some of those guys got to have more eligibility, but
Sasso
I know like
will be
Yanni.
back.
Yep, Yanni's done. I know Murin's done. Yeah, a few of these guys are done.
Yes. So landscape will probably have next couple of years look really, really different with all these COVID years getting out of there. Okay, other Scuffle here. Let me pull this up real quick. Looking at Scuffle.
There really wasn't that many like I don't want to say we'll say nationally important matches. Mako obviously was annoying. That was the one match I watched live. I watched all the other ones. Some fun scrambles. He got the first 2 takedowns, and then I don't know why he tried scrambling that hard. That was a move he tried doing where he got put to his back. Maybe not a great decision, unfortunately.
He was like on one foot with his leg
he tried
forward. He tried
double-legging
to
into
double
him.
leg, but he just sort of.
That was a Jaden Cox move. I know Jaden Cox showed that at Funky Fresh Camp like in 2016 or 15. I don't know. Jaden must have saw it and thought it was a good idea.
Jaden,
not so much.
See, a little advice for Jaden. Some of the stuff is maybe just a Jaden Cox exclusive.
Yeah,
and I think that one might be just
flexible and tricky.
Yeah, just Jaden.
No, Jaden definitely
really
showed that, and I was like, "Oh, but I'm not going to correct him in front of everybody." I'm like, "All right, whatever." Jaden Cox showed the move. Go do the damn move. Let's go.
Yeah. Do the move.
Yeah.
Do the 1 foot double leg.
Yeah. He was trying to double leg him with the other foot in the air, though. That's the problem, is that foot's in your way. So I didn't want to tell Jaden. I don't know how it works for you, Jaden, but that foot, your own foot, is clearly right in your way, so you can't push into it that hard.
Yeah. You know what? Jaden's special. He can do some stuff other people can't. But yeah, that was a fighting it a little too hard, and you give up 4 near fall points. That's pretty devastating. But Plot did seem like, man, there was kind of a tale of two matches within the one match. It seemed like he had a bead on Peyton's legs, and I don't know, had a lot of solutions for finishing.
It is pretty easy to get to him, but finishing's harder. And that was the third period. He got to, maybe it was the second period, he got to his legs a few times. He did finish once, I think, but he didn't finish a handful of times also.
True. But he was getting in. I thought he was getting in too easy. I understand he wants to scramble, but you can't give someone like Plot that many opportunities for a finish, because he will get them, as we saw.
Yeah.
Really one of the bigger stories out of the scuffle was the performance for North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they kind of announced themselves early this year, and the takeaways after they beat Nebraska. The takeaways after that was, wow, Nebraska's not going to be great this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tough year for Nebraska. Okay, well then, fast forward a couple of weeks, Nebraska wins CKLV, and then you see this performance from North Dakota State, and you can, talk about who wasn't there or whatever, but the fact is they had a lot of really strong performances, and they had guys that won matches they weren't expected to win. You had someone like D'Anthony Parker Jr. make the finals. That was not expected. You had, Caliendo, he almost turned and almost is 0
almost
points.
that roll through tilt.
He almost had it, and
yeah,
who knows?
Caliendo actually. Did you watch his match versus Keegan? Caliendo's scrappy. I've been watching him for a while. He came to the original AWA duels during Corona where we had at our academies. He's good. But he got the first 2 takedowns on Keegan, and then Keegan finally picked up the pace and really kind of melted him in the second, third, and I think he won. I think it was 15-8 or something to that effect. Like he had probably 4 or 5 takedowns in the third period. But Caliendo's really, really tough.
He's a little strong, more compact wrestler, very powerful. I mean, you watch him underneath.
Yes.
He's about. I mean, he looked pretty. I don't know how Keegan rode him. I'm assuming pretty well. But
once he got him tired.
But he got away from Griffith, I think, twice with relative ease. And Griffith does not give up easy escapes. He's tough from the top position. So he was impressive. Of course, Griffith got it done ultimately, but 3-2, a little closer than I expected. Though Griffith he had a closer match against McLean of Oklahoma State, as we talked about. But he was impressive. Franek was obviously really, really good as well.
Well, the one I blanked on. I meant to bring this up, but I was looking at the final results here. Is Pence pinned Ethan Laird?
Yes,
he was going to beat him. Even if he didn't pin him, he was going to beat him.
Yes, Pence is weird like that. He's had some.
Yes.
I mean, he pinned Eric Schultz a couple of years ago.
But I went back and looked at Pence's results, and they're not good this year.
No,
he lost to Aldred, and he lost. I think he lost to a Minnesota backup, maybe.
He lost to he lose to Foy or Joel's. He lost to Joel's.
I think he lost to Joel's. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's goofy, but that match was kind of interesting too, where Laird got an early takedown and was up 4-2, and I was watching it. I was kind of like going in between watching it and like watching my children as well, and I'm like, oh, okay, Laird's up 4-1, 4-2, and then came back, and all of a sudden he was down like 6-2 or something. I was like, wait, what happened? Yeah, it was like a weird overturned takedown, and kind of after that, Laird looked like he didn't have. Laird
Pence wore him out because the end of the second period, he rode the dog crap out of him, and really Pence was like grinding him hard. Yes,
Pence can really ride. He's tough from the top position for sure.
But coming out of this, I felt like North Dakota State and the NCAA tournament could be a team like Oregon State last year.
Yeah.
Whereas like maybe they're not on everyone's radar, but then all of a sudden they get whatever 3 guys through or have a bunch of guys in round of 12, and like wow, they took 10th or 11th at NCAAs.
Yeah,
they're a fun team.
Yeah, they are. They are fun. And Pence beats Dupre in a unfortunate conclusion there, where Pence gets a takedown on the edge, and we didn't realize it at the time, but I think that's where the injury occurred. And then it was at the period change, and then Louis gets on top and immediately just defaults out, frustrated. And making Pence the winner there.
And 197 continues to be my least favorite weight in the country because I'm doing the rankings now, and it's like every week it's like, dang it, I got to rank 197. But by the NCAA tournament,
how far did you move Laird down? Oh, brutal!
Yeah, sorry,
all the way down to 9.
Yeah, but well, so the reason is if you look at the top 8, he has the worst loss of any of those guys.
Yeah.
In the top 8, so that was kind of my rationale behind that. But by the NCAA tournament, there's going to be like a direct line from the number 33 seed to like the eventual national champion of like this guy beat this guy beat this guy beat this guy, because it is just like an endless mess of wins and losses.
Yeah, for sure.
Rocky Elam stands alone. Of course, he did not wrestle for Missouri, along with Keegan and Brock Mahler. Okay, Any other scuffle thoughts? Man, Braden
Um,
Palmer for Chattanooga.
That's
What
going,
really
yeah.
good tournament. He competed against Dayton. Dayton spent a lot of time on top. He's riding with the double boots, which I think started a little bit of a conversation about.
I mean, I don't want to. I love Dayton Fix, but he hasn't done. Watching his wrestling, he hasn't really done anything to make me think he has added a few weapons where he's going to beat RBY.
Maybe not.
That's unfortunate.
Maybe he's gonna ride him. Who knows? You know, we
Hasn't
felt
happened before, has it?
we felt pretty confident that in him the last 2 years, and it hasn't happened. And now it's like I don't know. Maybe he said he's approaching things differently.
Because we already watched it twice. That's why we feel differently about it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But who knows? It's gonna be a close match. You know, there's not scenario. It's gonna be a one takedown match, almost guaranteed.
I got someone I was impressed with. And yes, this is Homer biased, but I actually didn't know this guy was very good at all. Cam Steed from Mizzou. He beat up on Hunter Garvin. He beat Will Formato. He beat Chance McClain who had a close match. He pinned Kel Carlson. He lost first round to Mike McClain 8-3. He's kind of good. I think he's a true freshman.
Yeah, people are saying
Roster battle.
That's what a lot of people are saying right now online. You know, you got a couple really interesting roster battles. You got Steed and Keegan. You've got Drake
but come on, he's got
Spencer.
a good Formato, scrappy. Garvin was good.
Yeah,
Carlson's tough.
Yeah.
Yep.
It bodes well for the future of Mizzou.
Yeah, for the future depth.
Kennedy lost to Formato last year, and you guys are trying to say he's going to be a national champ. Why can't Steve be a national champ too?
Cut that out. No one has ever said that. You're just
I thought you guys
alley-ooping yourself.
You and Shane.
No, absolutely not. No one said that, Ben. Mr. Strawman Ben Askren. Sad. Okay.
All right. Where are we going now?
Where are we going? I want to get to some. We could have some questions. We could look at. We could talk a little more about Arizona State Cornell also.
Yeah, let's do that because questions can wait, but that's happening tonight.
Yeah.
Are we doing any picks? I love doing picks. Are we doing picks here?
I don't think we can make picks. I don't think these are formal.
Where's JD at?
JD's driving back from Nebraska as we speak.
Ooh.
Is he driving?
He drove JD, the lunatic, but I love it because this is probably what I would do. They were gonna see family in Alabama, where his folks are from, and then wanted to see his fiance's family in Nebraska, and flying around that was very expensive and not easy. So he's a road dog.
Yeah.
He went to Alabama, drove there, drove up to Nebraska. Now he's coming back.
At least he didn't take the motorcycle, so that's what we can be.
No, he did actually.
Yeah.
It's on the hog.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll be back tomorrow, allegedly, travel permitting. I'm really excited for Vasquez Cornella. I think that might be one of the more fun matches. I think Vasquez has a really fun style. Cornella has been kind of one of the standout true freshmen for this year that a lot of people have enjoyed watching. So I think that's going to be an interesting match. I think it is, just to speak broadly, I think it's very uphill for Arizona State to win this. Mm-hmm. They're going to need a lot of stuff to go their way.
100%.
So yeah, going to be they just don't match up that great against.
Well, yeah, they don't match up well because their weak spots are Cornell's weak spots, but they're probably a little weaker.
Yes.
And then two of their really good spots, McGee and Parco, are probably unlikely to win.
Yes, that makes it very, very tough.
Very challenging.
And then Cordell Norfleet is not here. They have
really?
Else. Yeah. So they're going to lose 97, very, very likely, because Jacob Cardenas is a beast. So yeah, gonna be tough. Gonna need bonus points and a couple upsets for them to be in this duel. But 41's fun. 33, McGee's got some adjustments to make with Vito, and then Parco Yanni, definitely the signature match of the event.
Did you know that Yanni's never wrestled anyone from Arizona State
in his life?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, anyone that went to Arizona State or anyone
from the state
competing?
of Arizona? No.
Yeah. What?
No, I'm just joking.
There's no way.
Never like, in an Arizona State singlet. He talked about it a little bit. Like, the year that Parco came in was like his redshirt year, and then he lost in the semis and didn't go to CKLV this year. So it was just like a bunch of series of events that led to him not wrestling Arizona State or Parco.
Yeah. So that'll happen. What do you think about the matchup itself, Ben? Are there any areas where Parco could challenge, like a specific position?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, yeah, he's just good everywhere, right? So, no, I just don't see. I think, so it's gonna be tough for Parco to win.
Yes.
Maybe a throw like Austin Gomez. I mean, Parco does go upper body sometimes.
He does, but Gomez is pretty special there.
It looks like Jonathan Lowe will be back. He was working out yesterday, and I think Spay talked to him. I think his plan is to go. He's been out since CKLV.
Yeah, he got hurt against Pinto.
Yeah, he got pintoed. So the match against Montalvo will be a fun one. I'm interested to see how Negron will wrestle Julian Ramirez.
Negron's, I feel like, kind of been not great.
He didn't have a good Midlands.
Is that what it was? I'm looking him up.
He went 1-2, I think, there.
7-5 this year.
Yeah, he lost to Chandler Amaker and Daniel Patton.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. Wilson, Austin, yeah.
Kyle Valencia's kind of struggled this year. It seems like he's able to get a takedown on anyone, bigly, but then kind of struggles in the second and third periods. So that Foca match seems like an uphill battle for him.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
and Foca's been fantastic.
Unger though will be fun. I know we talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but the Unger versus Courtney or Figueroa, he's a tricky guy. Like, he's really good on top, but he's also kind of like tricky upper body. I was watching his match with Figueroa, and he like threatened from double overs, which stood out to me.
Man, Kyle's 5-7 this year.
Yeah, not been the start they were probably hoping for.
And Ben, like, barely. So 0-2 at Cliff Keen, and then 2-2 at Midlands, and the matches he won were 10-9 and 6-5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was leading, I think, in the first period of both the matches he lost too. So that's kind of, I don't know. What do you make of that?
All right, let's get to a couple of questions here. Of course, it starts tonight at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, wherever you live. It'll be at that time, live on Flow. Bader and I will be on the call. Looking forward to that. Thank you for watching. Let's get to some questions. Does Andrew Alirez have the best leg attacks in college wrestling?
Why just give the first two questions? I mean, they're kind of nonsense, but why'd you put them in there?
Oh, I bounce around. However,
I mean, they're kind of funny. They kind of made me laugh a little bit.
Okay, all right. Well, then read them.
Well, I mean,
Ben can't have any deviation from the order.
Go in line.
It's
hot take of the week of the century. 16 people enter a tournament. 15 of them are going home with at least one loss. Only the winner gets to remain undefeated. You can't show up at a tournament, not win, and still have 0 losses on your record. I kind of chuckled when I read it.
That is true, and he's saying like he followed it up there.
That's too much. I on that one, I'm like, all right.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Sometimes with Twitter, I just deleted it for you. On Twitter, I'll give you guys a social media hint. If it's too much, then it's too much thinking, too much time to read it, it's not going to hit the same way. You got to be able to condense your thoughts and then humor into a small frame.
Mm-hmm. Brevity is king on Twitter.
That brevity is king. You should make a shirt that says that.
Yes. All right, I will.
That short king.
Copyright. And that short king.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like average height king.
Yeah.
In wrestling, I'm a tall king. Because there's a lot of short people here. Okay. Wait, where did it go? All right. Wait.
Alira's best
can you
leg
answer?
attack.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You didn't even say anything about it. The thing you read. You just read it and moved on.
It was just funny. There's no comment. No comment necessary.
No comment.
It was a true fact. Alira's leg attacks. They're really good. Would I say they're the best?
Who's
I'm gonna say probably not, but well, the problem is, here's the problem. The problem is 141 is not quite as good as some of the other weight classes. And so judging his leg attacks versus other people, I mean, I think, for example, Vitaly Aruja, amazing leg attacks, very diverse in the way he can attack them. Really good leg attacks. So, yeah, there's a bunch of people who I think of like that. Rock Elam's got a really good single leg. Yeah, maybe not. It would be hard to actually say for certain.
I think what Vito and Andrew have in common is a good variety of attacks.
Yeah.
And able to attack both sides. I mean, Aliras can also run through you, which also Vito can do. So if you have the threat of being able to run through you, just blow through you on a double leg, single one side, single the other side, or a high crotch, whatever it is, and finish with really good efficiency, which they both definitely can. I think he's up there. His attacks are like, they are very textbook looking, very quick, but it's just also they're really just smooth too.
Yes.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Agreed.
There's a reason we were this show was like an Andrew Aliras, party for a while. And he kept kind of not, he hasn't placed yet, which was sort of surprising.
Especially because if you remember, what was the one thing where he went nuts in high school and he beat like Nick Lee or there's somebody beat someone really good while
Nick
he was
Lee
still
in freestyle.
It was
2019.
Senior nationals.
And then he won senior nationals, I think,
was
or
it the
got
2020
second. Yeah, the weird one that was in like October.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Next question.
Dang. He's only won in his whole career. He's only won. Well, I guess it's not really a fair thing because 2020 he didn't have a nationals. 2021 it appears. Wait, no, that didn't count. But he medical forfeited out the regional, and then he went 2-2 last year.
Yeah. So it hasn't been the start for.
Who did he lose to at NCAAs last year?
He lost to Jake Berglund and CJ Composto. So and also not great losses.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking losses. I mean, especially Berglund was in that scuffle field.
Mm-hmm.
Got handled by Hart, who he then handled.
Yeah.
Ben talked about open communication with refs. It would be great to have a well-respected ref on FRL. Variety of guests, coaches, athletes make FRL more interesting. I agree.
FRL.
FRL.
Have you done that before?
We had the one guy come on and talk about Spencer Lee's knees after he won NCAAs.
That was
without
fun.
them. That guy was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
I was a PIAA ref.
Really?
Hey,
Here we go.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
For 1 year in college.
So
I hated it.
You liked that Aliras takedown call on Alan Hart?
I mean, if you want to go by the book, it was a by the book.
Wait, by the
takedown.
book? What? He was facing him on his knees. Stop it.
Dude, Ben cannot hang with Kozak sarcasm at all. He's getting tech twice on the.
I was actually looking at results in their pants.
Yeah.
I'm autistic. I can't help it.
We are for having refs on the show, and I think there's not a shortage of good refs to have on either. So we should do that.
Mm-hmm.
What if interesting here from Tape Laces? What if medical forfeits count as losses? Unless they were preceded by an injury default before.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Kind of interesting.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. That's kind
of a good idea. I like it.
Because you finish the last match, and obviously you can be hurt and finish a match.
Potentially. But it would lessen the likelihood a lot, and it would not punish real injuries.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a good point here from WrestlePack. Also, by the way, a couple of people. It was cool talking with people at the Scuffle, and someone said they listened. They're like, "Where do you submit questions?" And I realized I don't really say it on the show anymore. That you just tweet at me at cpyles8 is how I just send out a tweet the night before, and then people reply to it, and that's normally how it goes. So sorry I haven't said that in maybe very likely years, but yeah, that's how you do it. But we also try to check the chat and other things for your questions, but that's generally where they come from. Yeah. Okay. But WrestlePack said, based on how Zeke operates, it'll be Courtney. From a seeding standpoint, Figueroa has little to gain wrestling Unger, and Courtney needs to build up his season resume after late start. And that is a great point here. So what he's saying is because Unger already lost to Richie Figueroa, that win is already on Richie's resume. So if he ends up being the guy, he's got that win. If Courtney ends up being that guy, that would be a helpful win for him to get. So I think WrestlePack great rationale there, and I believe that's what we're going to see too. I have no inside information. Either does Brandon Courtney. It sounds like, so it's okay. Wick Jacoby he's on my list now. See, because he's not funny. He's actually. I'm realizing. I was like,
that's a little bit funny. I
kind of thought he was. I kind of thought he was doing a bit, which I'm all for it. But he's actually.
Might be. This is kind of funny. Come on.
Actually, well, Wick, I got a tattoo. I have a tattoo. I have ink. Ben, yes. So he says Pyles was supposed to get a tattoo. Ben
I told you guys, I'm not
taser
taser myself. If you guys show up with a taser, I'll take it. That's what I told you.
I feel like I need you to have like Amy tase you, so we have like
Mark Bader was just at my house 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think you guys are the cowards.
Well, it does seem like legally dicey to just tase someone as a bet for a wrestling because Wyatt Hendrickson didn't play.
Because I said it. Cause I wasn't even a bet. I just said it like a dummy.
Yeah,
I will still take it, Wick. If they show up with a taser, I'll take it. You can't tase me, Wick, because you're not on the show. But if someone on the show shows up, I'll take it.
Wick, he calls me a crybaby. All he does is whine. Biggest whiner on Twitter.
Ben, would you do double or nothing this year with Wyatt Hendrickson All-Americaning?
Oh yeah,
All-American? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pepper spray. Pepper spray bet. We'll up it. If he DMPs, because they say that's way worse than getting tased.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go Wyatt. He's a savage.
He's good.
Oh.
All right. Anything else before we bid it? Let me pop in the chat briefly. See if I haven't.
Oh, I know. Oh no, listen, I got something. These jabronis coming at me on Twitter. You know who you are. I ain't gonna say by your name. Listen, what's more likely? Let's ask me this, Christian. What's more likely? I think someone was stalling because they beat one of my guys 5 years ago, or I think they were stalling because they backed to the edge 10 times in a single period.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'll tell you, you ain't even got to answer. You don't got to implicate yourself. Listen, if your kid backs to the edge 10 times in a period, I'm going to say he was stalling. And listen, if you're a powder puff and you think that's aggressively hating on you or your son, that's pretty ridiculous. That was just listen, the kid's stalling. He went to the edge 10 times. Not a big deal. Sometimes people stall. And if you think I hate people because they beat my guys, you don't realize how many guys I have. Because if I did that, I'd probably have to hate everyone because my guys lose to so many people.
Yeah.
I have a lot of kids I coach. They lose to a lot of people. I'd have to hate like 70% of the NCAA field.
Yeah.
And honestly, when that person tweeted at me, I had forgot those people even wrestled. That was that long ago. But apparently he's holding on to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where to go with that.
That's it. We can just leave it at that. All you jabronis on Twitter, kiss my butt.
That's fair. All right, with that, kiss our
self-awareness, Christian. Self-awareness. Backing into the edge 10 times is stalling. It's called self-awareness.
I would agree. Okay.
Okay.
In general, it's just better just to not send tweets like that. Just not the best look. Not the best look.
I think we should have more.
Kozak loves it.
More tweets.
And I got the microphone, so I get the last word.
You do get the last word, Ben. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna be back. I'll be back here this evening for Arizona State Cornell. We'll have more content coming with those teams. We'll be back tomorrow morning too. What's up?
You know
Ben?
what we got? We got Big Ten wrestling dual meets starting this weekend.
Gosh, it's happening.
It's happening.
Can't wait to talk about that tomorrow, along with the awesome duel that's happening tonight. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good Wednesday. Happy New Year. Goodbye.
Peace.
All clear.